Hey everybody, and welcome to We Watch TV. It is the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel, she is Hope. This is episode 132, and we are coming to you approximately 5 minutes after recording last week's episode. And I have a point that I didn't really get to explore on last week's episode that I want to go ahead and just talk about real quick right here. So
I wasn't even listening to you talking just now. I was reading a text message, so you what?
Last week, you mentioned that we had watched some Jeopardy. And on a Jeopardy episode, you had mentioned
we watched pop culture
that
Jeopardy.
You didn't get the answer to a question, and you expected me to get the answer to the question because it was a question about a Star Trek.
Yes, I assumed you're going to get every Star Trek's right.
No, wait. And in particular, it was about the question was you have to name the character from a movie, and it was Star Trek 6. It wasn't, and I didn't even know the movie because it's a very small character in that movie. But
you're going to lose the audience from this episode if you don't hurry up.
The comment you made was, "You haven't let me watch that one yet."
I didn't say that's not what I said.
That is exactly what you said.
Please do the hey everybody and welcome so we don't lose our whole audience. And
I already did that.
You already did that? Go where? Really?
Yep.
I guess you just lost your co-host instead.
I don't think I ever had her. I thought you were paying attention, and then you look up. Okay.
This is what it's like dealing with you 24 hours. Anytime I'm trying to give you fun facts, information, talk to you, ask you questions.
Maybe they're not that fun of facts.
Sometimes it's like, Daniel, I need you to clean the toilet. And you'll be like, I'll do it later.
I always do it later. Later is a very nebulous term. You need to be a little bit more specific.
You didn't even follow my show notes. My show notes was going to say coming to you live, but not live, from the past, in our future, but your present. I thought
well, one, you did not type all of that out. And two, I did kind of refer to that. You just didn't listen to the first 40 seconds of my monologue that I started the podcast off with.
And probably not, and many people are listening to us talk right now.
Okay. Well, listen, so the reason that we broke this episode out from last week's episode is because we rambled a lot. And also, with taking a couple weeks off, we have a bunch of stuff that we need to talk about, including one thing that wasn't even, we'd already finished this one thing before we recorded the episode 130, and we just didn't talk about it because we had a lot of stuff to talk about. So, anyways, we're catching up. Because it's weird. It doesn't feel like there's been a lot of stuff out. But then I look at the list between the notes from this week and last, and there's actually been quite a bit of stuff coming out.
Well, it was a combo of like when I was stuck in the house with quarantine, and then we had bad weather for like 2 months, and you're just not leaving your home a lot. You're just grasping to try to watch all the content you can. And we've promised, I feel like, in our podcast episode, like you said, 130, that we would talk about his and hers, and then we ran out of time last time. You forgot what his, and talk about me not listening. You're like, what is his and hers? His and hers.
I still don't really know, but go ahead.
Well, I don't think you watched. You popped in and out of it, but you did watch like the last 2 episodes. His and Hers is considered a limited series on Netflix, and it stars John I can't say his name. I just call him Shane from The Walking Dead. John
Bernthal.
Hot guy. He still looks good. And the girl from Thor plays Valkyrie. She's been also in the Creed movies. What is her name?
Tessa Thompson.
Okay, I was going to say her name.
I have no idea where I pulled that from, but I got it.
A broken clock, what is it? It's like right twice a day. I can't even get the saying right.
Not if it's digital.
That saying really doesn't make sense anymore, does it?
If it's a regular clock, yeah.
World. But I never liked telling time on regular. And you know what I really hate? When it's always like some old person, I'll be like, what time is it? I'll be like, it's 12:15. That means 12:40, right? Or 12:45 or something. I don't even know what it means. What does 12:15 mean?
12:15.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought this would say it's 12:15. I've heard people say that.
It's 12:15 is 12:15.
Are you sure?
12:30 is 12:30.
Oh, that makes sense.
There's no special saying for 12:45. So actually, 12:45 would be 1:45.
Maybe that's what I'm getting it from. I like how you speak boomer because I don't.
But hey, listen, you know what? Don't feel shame when these people shame you about that kind of thing, because they're the kind of same people who, when they pick up their phone to text you, they just start talking to their phone and text to speech, and then half the words don't work.
That's true. That's true. So His and Hers. I started watching this, and then in true Hope and Daniel fashion, you popped in. You popped out. It's basically, it opens up. We have a murder right off the bat. We have you have his perspective, you have her perspective, but he is the cop in this small town. She has left said small town and is a news reporter, but been mysteriously off for a year. It's like, you don't have to put me at the main desk, but send me back to this community and I can, report live on the scene. And we find out that they are divorced. It's a whole thing. We have, he's living with his sister right now and his niece. She is staying at a hotel. She doesn't really want to stay with her mom. She goes to visit her mom. We find out her mom has dementia, kind of pretty sad. Her mom's been seen out wandering around. They've had to take her back to the house a couple times. So her ex-husband still keeps in contact with the mother. She has a former friend group, toxic. We just love toxic TV in this household. That kind of comes into play. And then she's also having a rivalry with her fellow anchor woman, I guess, at the big city in Atlanta news station. And it's all revolving around who killed this woman, Rachel. And they make you think at one point that she did it. They make you think that he did it.
His and hers.
And then that's the whole, and I do like a good mystery where I'm trying to whodunit, where I'm trying to figure it out. So it's very I would say, I'm not trying to be elitist when I say this, but would you say that my description of it's a very shallow version of a whodunit story? Would you understand what I'm saying by that? It's not the best, but it's not the worst.
I got to be honest,
it's just fun.
Lately, whodunits have been pretty shallow.
Yeah, but you can go back in this one, and they do pay it forward.
Do they? Okay.
You make sense. Be like, oh, I see. Because at one point, I thought I got the twist. I was like, oh, I know.
The Knives Out movies have done a good job, but a lot of other whodunits, I guess I have to go back to one of our favorite shows on this podcast, but Only Murders in the Building has been phoning in the whodunit format for a couple seasons now.
Yeah.
So did they get it?
But I think Only Murders...
a little better here?
Yeah, I think Only Murders is now more about the vibes, and that's fine.
Right, but it's still technically a whodunit show.
Yes, it's still... And at one point, though, I was talking a big game, too. I was like, oh, I figured it out. And then we had a half hour left. I was like, oops. So I figured part of it out. So her, little anchor woman that she's having a, kind of a rivalry with, I was like, oh, my gosh. I was like, that was the chubby girl that was trying to get in our friends group that the other friends made fun of. But then the chubby girl blamed her, Tessa Thompson's character, for being this is your fault, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, she lost a bunch of weight, dyed her hair blonde, got super hot, and now, not only did she take the anchor job, but now she's wanting, secure her position. And while, yes, she did, that is the girl, and she did do bad things, because it's confirmed she inadvertently killed her own sister by not giving her sister her inhaler. And I was like, oh, reminder, gotta go take my inhaler now. She intentionally made it so that the girl who had very bad asthma would not have the inhaler on the boat. So would that be called manslaughter? She didn't because she didn't directly murder her, but she took away the device to save her life. I don't know, what would you call that? I don't know what you call it.
Not a lawyer.
I'd say if you're a real cop or a real lawyer, and even as me, a former journalist watching this show, you're gonna be like, this isn't how stuff works. That's what I mean by shallow. You just gotta roll with it. So it does turn, she does have a gun, and her husband, who was also hooking up with Tessa Thompson's character, is the cameraman for the station. They're kind of working together, but they aren't the killer or the main killer. They were just, I think, kind of self-serving, and I kind of don't remember it either. But then it turns out, again, please give the spoiler, as I've already spoiled half
everybody,
the show.
This is a spoiler podcast. We're going to talk about spoilers for the shows that we watch. So if you don't want to hear a spoiler about the show that we're watching, then you should go down to the bottom and check the chapter markers and click to the next chapter so that you can hear us talk about whatever it is we're going to talk about next.
All right, so handy dandy dementia mommy turns out to be the final boss and is the killer. And I was like, and then I did figure that out again, but it was literally, I figured it out 2 seconds before Tessa Thompson's character started reading the letter. I was like, oh. I just figured it out. And you were like, hope you just figured it out 5 seconds. But I still figured it out before. I bet other people had to wait for that whole monologue to figure it out.
I don't recall. Does she actually still have dementia and is the killer, or was she faking the dementia in order to make herself not suspect
she was
for the killer?
faking it, baby.
Okay.
because she found out, she watched these tapes, because it was all on tape. Like, basically, she saw her daughter's friends help get her daughter SA'd in the woods, and decided that she was going to do a revenge plot years later on all these people. And she's like, and this is what a mother's love would do. Because the reason why you find out that the his and hers of it, the couple, why they separated was because their baby died, which had nothing to do. That baby just died on its own. But that's the whole reason why, you know, the one character went away. So that's just why those two were not together, because the loss of their child. No one killed that child. It died of like natural causes. But the mom like watches these tapes when she misses her daughter, and these tapes that they made when they were young, because, you know, they're like their high school flashbacks are now like our high school flashbacks. So that's fun that we're like the flashback era of shows. They might even be technically a little younger than us in the show. And the mom realizes what the daughter's friends did and decides to make like a hit list. So she was, when she was found out wandering in the streets, it's because she murdered somebody. When she was acting like she didn't know what was going on, giving the other cop like, you know, water instead of tea, you know, throwing her off the scent, because the one cop starts to expect Shane from the Walking Dead character, John Berthenol's character, of being the murderer. I knew it was never going to be him. He did hook up with Rachel, the one that died in the beginning. Do you remember that?
No.
Like, that was revealed, but I knew that was all a red herring.
Where's Rachel?
Every time. But I thought this was a good, like, if you're looking for a filler show, and even me, our rambling, Daniel doesn't remember, even though he watched it, even I barely remember it. So I feel like even in our rambling, if you're like, oh, I know that it's going to be the crazy mom, you could still watch this show and just forget everything I said. Like, we've forgotten about the show, and you could probably enjoy it, his and hers.
Well, the best thing about a whodunit that is good is they should be rewatchable.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to rewatch a whodunit knowing whodunit and pick and be
and
like,
they
it's
show,
obvious.
Yeah, the payoff. Like, and I'm like,
if it's a good one, it should work that way.
I wasn't going to expect the sweet mother. But yeah, so his and hers finally came through I don't know, what, like 4 weeks later, we're finally talking about the show. So anything else you want to say that do you have any memory? I feel like you do now a little bit, right? Or are you still like, what was this show?
No, not much. No, not
You
really.
watched at least the last 2 episodes live and in person and on the couch with me.
But did I?
But
That's
you
because
did.
I'm in the room.
All right. Well.
Okay, this next one I did not watch all of either, but I do remember it. Because I was in for a lot more of it than I think I was. Also on Netflix, not a limited series, we've watched seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Ginny and Georgia.
This has been another listener recommendation in the vein of Tell Me Lies. One of the reasons why I was like, I'm not sure about this. I always thought maybe I'd like it, but I'm like, oh, it's probably just like Gilmore Girls. It's like if Gilmore Girls was real life, maybe, and it makes you appreciate Emily and Richard's toxicity a little bit compared to what the stuff George has been through. Correct?
Yeah. So here's my issue with this show right off the bat.
All right, do you want to give a synopsis about what the show is about?
Ginny and Georgia.
Okay, so, my gosh, Jenny and Georgia. Georgia is the mother. She had Jenny when she was 15, so it is very much a Lorelai, Rory type of situation. Georgia has another child, Austin, with a separate baby daddy, and it is about, their lives. It starts off right off the bat with the man that she's marrying passing away, so he seemed to be a rich man, but a bad man, and she has his money, and they go to this new town, which I feel like is slightly outside of the Boston area, and go.
Oh, and go. Spoilers again. She killed him, her husband that they left at the beginning, right?
Yes.
And the other one before that too, because turns out
good for her.
Turns out Georgia's a double murderer, which you wouldn't know if you watched the show and you just are watching it, paying attention to it, listening to like the funny little music cues that they put up and the scenarios that they put on. The tone of this show is weirdly off in a way that I just can't quite get on board with, because
like
it is
funny,
discussing
but dark and
some
depressing.
super serious topics: abuse,
racism, depression,
self-harm, murder.
Game's all here.
And yet at the same time, it's like has like the funny
bipolar. There's another one.
Okay, the funny little like scene change music. We're like, oh, what an awkward situation. We're going to the next scene. Oh, Austin just watched his mom, or Austin just shot his dad. Like, it's just so tonally.
But it is funny.
I know, but they don't. But just the way they edit it and cut it together, it's like the director and the actors think they're making one show, and then the editor thinks he's editing a completely different show.
It's like Dark Gilmore Girls. Can I just say, though, that they did clock me on that reference? She's like, we're like the Gilmore Girls in the very first or second episode. Like, they know that they're going to get compared to that, so I appreciated the reference.
Sure.
I wish we would have talked about Ginny and Georgia sooner, because you did enjoy it, though.
I mean, it was entertaining for the slop that it is.
And that's Daniel for you, ladies and gentlemen.
That's Garland for you.
Oh, that's a deep cut to a Hallmark reference.
That's how rotted my brain is at this point.
Just like you have ruined me with Star Trek, I have ruined you with Hallmark goodness. So
one of those things you learn good lessons from, and the other one of those things you learn that you should always give up your career to go hang out in a small town and maybe marry Santa's son.
I would totally marry Santa's son.
You're married to me.
Can you become Santa? Go push Santa off a roof.
I don't want that job. I want to hang out with elves all day. I don't want to have... I mean, actually, now that I think about it, only having to work one day of the year is very appealing. It would be like an ADHD...
He has to work before. He has to prep all the lists. He has to check them twice.
That sounds like a nightmare. That sounds like a nightmare to me.
You would just I would.
Oh my gosh, I would be like that Hallmark movie where they outsource the list checking. Exactly.
Oh,
and here we are.
Oh,
here we are,
gosh.
everyone. Ginny and Georgia is the show we're talking about.
I feel like
not Hallmark movies.
Well, Emily and Richard and Gilmore Girls are toxic. At the end of the day, Lorelai was still privileged. She still had that support system. Georgia was assaulted by her stepdad. Her real dad is in prison, I think, for trying to kill her. No relationship with her mother. This is like, so one of the reasons why she's made some choices that she's done is all in the name of protecting her kids, protecting herself. So this is what would happen if Lorelai hadn't had that safety net, these opportunities. That's why I said it makes you kind of appreciate having a Richard and Emily around, just to have, at the end of the day, Lorelai was never going to starve or go hungry or anything like that. She still had, so it's actually very sad. And the reason why she poisoned the one husband, well, the first husband, she didn't mean to kill him. That was accidental. She just wanted to get away from him. The second husband, he was like ready to assault Jenny, so she poisoned his little drink. The third murder.
Oh, I forgot about the third murder.
The
triple murder. I'm sorry. I need to retract my statement. I said double murder, but I meant triple murder.
Cynthia's husband, who was on, I think, like hospice, life support, basically a vegetable at this point, and where Cynthia helped her get away from her baby daddy number two's abuse. I feel like in Georgia's twisted, screwed up brain,
sociopathic.
Yeah, she thought that she was helping Cynthia by releasing Cynthia of, having to live out that, because he could have died at any moment. And I feel like in her own screwed up way, that's the thing. Georgia makes terrible decisions, but you can justify why she might have made these choices. Let's talk about the men of the show. It's like every man falls head over heels in love with Georgia. So we have Zion, the baby daddy, who is, Black Noir, number 2 from The Boys.
Yeah.
Hot. Love. He kind of made me mad in season 3, but I thought I was going to have a Christopher situation. I can't stand Christopher from Gilmore Girls, and neither can you, right? Rory's baby daddy. Do not like him. But
my blood boils at the thought of him.
I love Zion, but he did make me a little upset in season 3 when he was, because I think he was learning, but to give him credit, he's learning all these things he never knew about Georgia.
Correct.
A person that's the mother
of
his
double
child.
Murders. All the murder.
My beef with him is that he knew Gil was bad. I don't think he knew the extent that Gil was abusive to Georgia, but the fact that because basically Zion treats Austin as if he's his child, and he went along with Gil for the whole custody thing.
Is Gil Iceman?
I think Gil's is Iceman's twin brother because those two twin actors in real life. So I believe Gil is the one from that Lock and Key show that is the twin brother of Iceman.
We're talking about X-Men here, by the way, everybody. Sorry.
Both Iceman and his brother Iceman both show up in Smallville, though.
I don't care about that show.
All right. Well, anyway, you were the one that brought it up.
What? Why? What does me bringing up X-Men have to do with Smallville, a DC property?
I'm really excited for Doomsday just because the X-Men.
Same.
Anyway.
Ginny and Georgia.
Anyway, back to Ginny and Georgia. I think it really did deal with like self-harm well because you have Jenny. That's such a young girl, and it was really hard to watch her go through that, but. Like they get her into therapy and they talk her through, and I think there's a lot of dark topics addressed in this show. But you're right, like 1 minute it'll be something really dark, the next minute we're making a joke about like Georgia yelling at Marcus for sneaking in through the window. So the other ships in the show, we have Mr. Paul Randall, the politician. Immediately no. But he played. I know him as Jason Street from one of the greatest shows of all time, Friday Night Lights. And then we have the simp, Joe, that runs the cafe, and we find out that that's the whole reason why Georgia decided to move to this town because she remembered his kindness. And you think that she didn't remember who Joe was all this time, but she totally did. We both decided that we were Team Joe. Do I think Joe's a little bit of a major simp for Georgia? Of course. But we never liked Paul, ever, for her. And I'm very proud of us because we were correct.
Yeah, I never liked Paul. I think that
the whole proposal scene was weird because like we could be powerful together. I'm like, he's still gonna put his career first.
The end of the season 3 when Joe just decides, screw it, I'm in.
Yeah.
After all the craziness that's going on.
Yeah.
That was like, to me, there was a little bit of like, oh, there's a red flag for Joe for the first time.
Yeah. But I think that he is the one that's gonna like.
I do. I think that's gonna be the one.
I think that's the end game.
Yeah.
It's not Zion. I would like Zion to be happy with the woman that he is dating.
Yeah.
I would obviously, I want Gil to never come on screen again. And he was never a part of the romance anyway. But like you and I were like, okay, this guy's always gonna choose like his career. So we saw even the proposal, like, was shady. Like I said, like even that was weird. And my biggest disappointment was I really believed, and I think he did, that Paul actually cared about the kids, especially Austin. And then for him to basically choose to stop paying for the lawyer at the end of season 3 and to be like, fine, knowing that Austin could potentially go back to Gil, who he knows is abusive because Georgia did come clean with all of that. I just don't see how you keep him around as a respectable character after this. I don't see how you do it.
No, I agree.
I think they're definitely setting him up to be the villain. I really hope Nick comes around because I think he ended up firing him anyway after because I would like Nick and Georgia.
Okay. Yeah, I remember.
I would like them to become friends.
There's a lot of characters in this show.
There's a lot it's one of those shows that I know they have a glacial pace between seasons, but we watched immediately. And can I just say that how old is Austin supposed to be in the show? Like 8 years old?
Yeah, like,
he's going to have a 5 o'clock shadow by the time season 4 comes on.
Over 3 seasons, has maybe 6 months gone by?
Yeah, like I think it's basically they come in that right before the school year, and we finished out the school year, so about a year.
Yeah, but that kid's going to be like shaving every day.
Like he already is taller than Jenny. They have those stupid fake Harry Potter glasses on this like probably a 16-year-old in real life. Like we're going to have a time jump to make this plausible.
With the way season 3 ended,
recast.
Is there any reason not to do a time jump at this point?
I really, really like them.
I don't feel like we were sizzled. Well, I guess we were sizzled with her family showing up.
Yeah, because we have now Georgia is basically like famous now for the murder trial, which she did get away with. Because Ginny decided to take a page from Mommy's book.
And I told you we were watching this show,
yep.
And you told me you were like, Austin, her other kid.
I was like, he's going to be the one that's mainly traumatized.
And I said, no, it's going to be Austin's not in the name. It's not Ginny, Georgia, and Austin.
Yeah.
It's Ginny and Georgia. I mean, Ginny is going to be the one who's going to have to fight and reconcile with what her actions have led her to and whether or not she wants to go down that same path or not, because she's already started it a little bit by tampering with the murder trial.
And like threatening Cynthia.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought just because Austin like stabbed that kid in school, shot his dad up, but like now I'm like, oh my gosh, are we showing like that Austin has violent tendencies like his dad?
Yeah, absolutely.
But while still, not wanting to be that path, and whereas Jenny's having like the crafty. I don't know. The
Well,
show is.
he is Austin's like an 18-year-old in the body of a 9-year-old. So like I would be upset too.
It's like a Benjamin Button situation. I don't know. I feel I'm really glad that listeners recommended the show to us, and I'm really glad that we had time to watch it because I did very much enjoy it. I think it's a classic case of because I think Netflix also does this in parts 1 and 2. I do like how they do a musical each season, and that's another thing about the tone. It'll be like Darkness, Murder, Break to do a musical number, and you're like, what is going on?
How many musicals a school year is this school getting out?
I feel like the school is Is this school a private school?
My high school was only able to produce one terrible musical per year, and they've done
think we
3.
did musicals. Like no one, I don't think we did musicals at my school.
I thought you went to the great and powerful Parkersburg High School.
This is probably going to make me sound like an elite. I probably just didn't pay attention to what the trauma kids were doing, like if I'm being quite honest. And I feel bad for that because I love theater nerds now. So, sorry. So speaking of really, really old shows, we decided to, once you've exhausted the TV options and you have to do this terrible wait for the weekly release, you got to find something. So we went back into the vault because there is a reboot coming for Malcolm in the Middle. It's coming in April, and we decided to start Malcolm in the Middle. First off, I didn't realize it. I thought it came out like at the same time like the show The Middle did. I didn't realize that Malcolm in the Middle was on like the year 2000, like when we were like, in high school. I didn't know the show was that old, so that caught me off guard. I knew it was a sitcom and was funny. I didn't know it was this level of unhinged. But I'm loving it. We're almost done with season 2. What are your thoughts on Malcolm in the Middle?
The power of this show. So first of all, I think I knew a little bit more about it than you do.
Yeah, you might have watched a little more than me. I think I'd seen an episode here and there.
This show is powerful, and and the reason that this show is powerful, I don't know why this show is so powerful, but here's what I'm going to say.
Powerful.
My wife, known Breaking Bad hater,
I just don't like. I love Bryan Cranston.
The comment during one of the episodes of this show, and you said it, and you're not going to deny it. You're not going to sit here and deny that you just said.
You deny everything you say, so
I might have to give Breaking Bad another chance.
Just because I like Bryan Cranston, but I liked him going before Breaking Bad.
Sure.
And I still liked him. I just couldn't get on board with it. But now because he's so funny. Maybe it's like Wuthering Heights, and I have to, because I don't think I made it through 3 episodes of Breaking Bad, and neither did you. We were like, this show's not for us. Maybe I've heard that you have to get through season 1, which really annoys me when I have to get through an entire season for a show to be good.
Well, I think something else you have to get through with Breaking Bad that I've heard somebody say is you need to come to the realization that the main characters of your shows are the villain.
Well, that's kind of how Mad Men is too.
Sure. So I think you should be able to connect with that.
But he is hilarious.
He's great in this show.
I have seen him in his underwear more times than because he's in his underwear in one of those movies I've seen. I'm like, why is he always in his underwear? I feel like you sometimes resonate with the jokes a little more than me because you were once a teenage boy.
Yeah.
And a middle school boy.
Around that time period, too.
I really like Malcolm's friend, Stevie. And I thought that would annoy me as the bit, too. But it works.
Every time it shows up, they use it perfectly. Every time Stevie comes into an episode, they use that bit perfectly, and it's excellent.
And I've read that everybody, except for the kid that played Dewey, is coming back for the reboot. They have recast that actor, so Dewey will still be in it. But I did read that Stevie is going to make an appearance. Like I said, we're only on season 2, and I think I've read somewhere that Stevie is like the one consistent friend of Malcolm's. Mm-hmm. That stays throughout the show, but it's really funny. It's some of the jokes they make, and I'm like, okay, that's really funny in today's timeline. I can't believe they got by with that, calling themselves a family sitcom, and they got by with that in the year 2000.
I think they just
sometimes it threw under the radar.
They
maybe
were flying under the radar. I think a lot because like I mean, they obviously were popular enough to get 7 seasons.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not one of those shows, the iconic shows of the early 2000s that you think of.
Yeah, so I'm excited. I think the pace we're going, because it's kind of our filler show right now, I think we'll definitely be caught up at least. We should be.
Sure, yeah.
Or close by the time the reboot drops. I don't know how many episodes they're giving us, but that comes out, I know, in April on Disney+. All right. So speaking of reboots, at the time I believe that you guys will be listening to this podcast, the Scrubs reboot will have aired. We have not watched it yet. I know we've talked about it on this show. Anything you want to say about that? Excited, apprehensive?
I'm excited. Scrubs is one of my all-timers. Like, I love Scrubs, especially the early seasons of Scrubs were like peak television. So I'm excited. Obviously, anytime you're revisiting old characters, there's a little bit of hesitation there because,
Yes.
what are they going to do to mess it up?
They're going to have to undo some of the... Because I think somebody said, like, a lot of the finale was kind of like what JD, like, envisioned. They might have to undo some of that.
Sure.
I ignore the actual last season of Scrubs with, like, Dave Franco. Even though I like him. That doesn't count. So I know we haven't seen him in the previews yet, but I really need Neil Flynn to show up as just a cameo. Maybe a patient, do something. So speaking of Scrubs, you actually... skipped on my... You're not reading the show notes well.
My phone's off. I'm not even looking at it.
Okay, so before His and Hers, we were supposed to talk about Shrinking, but perfect segue, since it's kind of like, I think the same people that work on both shows do it, right?
Well, that's
Shrinking.
true. Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
So what are your thoughts on Shrinking Season 3? Shrinking you can watch on Apple TV. Season 3 is getting going.
Shrinking's one of those shows that, like, when we have our conversation about best thing going, I feel like it consistently is sitting down at like a number 3 spot. It's a great show. It's just an absolutely great show. It's got a title card, no skip.
Yeah.
A no skip theme. It's just every character is likable. Every character is got their own thing going. It's just a really well written show. Harrison Ford, again, I think I've said this on podcast before. This might be the performance of his life.
Do you remember what his character did in the last episode? He hummed the Indiana Jones theme song when he walked back in the office with Paul, and we had to pause the TV and we're like, do you think that was scripted, or do you think that Harrison Ford threw that in there and they kept it?
They probably had a bunch of, like, they just had him walking through that door multiple times with multiple different entrances to see. Dun, 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 dun. And I would not be surprised if he threw that one in there.
That was a wink. That was for the fans.
Yeah, it's just a phenomenal show, and it's in the same lineage, which I think the same people kind of produce it as Ted Lasso.
Feels like Ted Lasso.
Same lineage. It has that optimism to it that you don't get a lot these days.
But still sadness.
Yeah, but it's sadness with an optimistic bend to it.
There'll be times where Daniel and I will go like way dark, and then that doesn't happen.
Right, exactly.
And we're like,
I think
thank goodness.
It's if you're struggling with all the television that's got these heavy topics, that's like really depressing in these days, and believe me, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
because it's really hard. Like, there's lots of shows I'd like to watch, but I don't know if I've got the mental fortitude to push through stuff like that right now. This is like a breath of fresh air. This is just like, I don't need to be worried.
Yeah.
I do not need to be worried.
And it's not the same thing like mindless comedy is going to get you. It's still going to be meaningful.
Yes.
And you're still going to, I'm not saying that you're not going to cry, but you're still going to have that, like, like uplifting. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And Neil Flynn did show up on one of the episodes of Shrinking, the wedding episode for Paul and his new wife, his new bride-to-be. So that makes me think that there's a chance he's got to be a wink in Scrubs.
They probably got a really good moment for him, and they're just hiding it from us so that it's a good, fun surprise.
My only complaint about Shrinking is the episodes are too short. I would like them to be a little bit longer.
Just let them be as long as they need to be. My complaint is, like, again, as with everything these days, it's like, I could just use more.
Just use more.
All
right. Anything else you want to say about Shrinking?
No, nothing.
All right. Well, speaking of also episodes just like Scrubs that we have not watched yet because we are recording this in the past. It's our future, but it's your present. The Bridgerton Season 4 Part 2 will have aired at the time of this listening. And I'm sure our next episode that we come back to record on after this, we will talk about that. I'm very excited for Bridgerton. Hate the 2-part releases, but at least if you're going to give me a 2-parter, when you only make me wait a month or so, it's not that bad. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to have my thoughts on that. Hopefully the soundtrack will continue to be amazing because one of my favorite things that Bridgerton does is take those popular songs but make them sound classical. I know Bridgerton's not your thing, but you've watched season 4 more than you have any other season.
I think it might be the one I've watched the most of, and it was fairly entertaining.
Are you looking forward to more?
Honestly, it was surprising to me how entertaining it was, considering you told me going in, this is the Cinderella story.
Yeah.
And for me, Cinderella trope is big snore fest. But I feel like the way they're doing it with the class consciousness of it, and that conflict is really interesting. So I think that could be interesting. Another show that has wrapped up its season that I don't think we've discussed on the podcast, but we have discussed off podcast we might watch, is the Game of Thrones A Night of the Seven Kingdoms show. So 6 episodes, it's done. Season 1 is done.
I have heard no bad things.
I've heard nothing bad about it. I think I'm ready to jump back in. I like the Game of Thrones world.
Yes.
But I was fatigued by the way the original series ended, and the House of Dragons just didn't do it for me. My understanding, and from everything I've seen of this one, is it's a little bit more lighthearted.
But still sad, I think.
Still Game of Thrones.
I think somebody said a comment was like, it reminds you at the end, hey, this is still Game of Thrones.
Right, yeah. So I think we're going to, now that it's all completely out, I think we'll probably give that a shot at some point here too soon. So
I'm giving that a go. All right, anything else you're looking forward to coming up here soon?
Yeah, okay. The Star Trek Starfleet Academy is, I think, almost done. And so I do think at some point we're going to pick up.
I'm sure we'll run out of TV to watch and we'll need it.
And I have heard. Okay, so I have heard one specific detail that I know that I'm not going to reveal to you on this podcast because I want it to be a surprise that I know you will love. But I have just consistently heard people go on a Star Trek Reddit. By the way, it's not that bad. It could have been worse. That's like a glowing review for new Star Trek from Star Trek fans. I found,
though, that Star Trek Reddit is more chill than Star Wars Reddit, where everybody hates everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you get on any of the Star Wars Reddits, like the prequels, the sequels, whatever, you would think that nobody likes anything. Like, you would think that everybody hates Star Wars. Yeah. But Star Trek...
Yeah. We want to love it. We want to love all Star Trek so badly. See, that's what I think the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars fans. We Star Trek fans, we want to love all Star Trek.
I would like to love all Star Wars.
There are Star Wars fans that are very specifically out to hate new stuff.
I just wish some would be like,
The Acolyte.
Yeah, I like. Oh, don't get me started on that. I wish there was some that would be like, you know what, the OGs are my movies. I like them because I know that there's going to be a generation that's going to come around and sequels are going to be their movies. And and when those people get louder voices, though, it's just the same. I'm a prequel girly. I told you that I like the OGs, but I remember the first time you had me watch them, I was like, oh, I like these way better than the other ones.
But your point,
way better.
Your point is correct. And let me wrap this back up to a podcast that we didn't do now, but we did last week, but we just got done talking about 45 minutes ago. Wuthering Heights.
Wuthering Heights. Yes.
You can appreciate the book, and you can appreciate the movie.
Wuthering Heights.
You don't have to pit them against each other and make them some comparison.
No.
Star Wars fans, you can love the original trilogy. I do. I'm an original trilogy person. You don't have to. The prequel trilogies exist, but they don't ruin the 3 movies that are on film. And you know what? I hate the sequel trilogy, what they did there, with the exception of The Last Jedi, which I stand as a great, good movie, even though it doesn't make sense in the spot that it's in. It's still a good movie. They don't ruin the prequels, and they don't ruin the original trilogy, because you can just watch them and enjoy them and forget that stuff existed.
I don't hate the sequels. I just feel like it's clear, like I've said again, we should really just one day just sit down and air out our Star Wars grievances.
Star Wars episode?
My biggest complaint of the sequels is the lack of planning and direction. One of the reasons why I like the prequels, they knew they had a plan, they stuck to it, and it worked.
Yeah.
We had a plan. I know it's easier to come up with a plan when you know, like, ultimately you know Anakin has to be bad. But, like, it's clear to me that they switched out directors and stuff for the sequels. But I can always get past that, and I understand why. If that was your first, like, theater experience for a Star Wars, I think that's going to be special to people. That's another reason why I like the prequels. My first theater experience was Revenge of the Sith.
If you're in the Star Wars fandom, everybody's got the first movie they saw in theaters.
Yeah.
And that one's always going to be special. For me, it was the 1997 when they re-released the originals, and I got to see A New Hope in theaters for the first time. And I'd seen it on little crappy, CRT TVs for years on VHS tape, but that was the first time really seeing it in a theater.
All right. Well, what a podcast was this? I don't know how it's going to sound to you guys that are listening because I wasn't listening to the beginning of the podcast. So maybe you guys just have us on for background noise while you clean house. But that's all I've got to say.
I think that's a good idea, though, Hope. I think sometime in the near future, because did you know there's a Star Wars movie coming out this year?
The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have absolutely no excitement for that.
Oh, I do, because I like Grogu.
But since there's a Star Wars movie coming out this year, I think you're right. It's been long. We've been in this podcast for almost 3 years now, and I think it's time we just make a Star Wars episode and lay it all out.
I like how we were calling out Star Wars fans for hating everything, and then we're like, and now we're going to complain
talk about
it.
why we hate everything. Okay. Anyways, live long and prosper.
And may the Force be with you.